Hello, my name is Lloyd Evans, and I'm going to talk for a moment or two about my new show, which is premiering at the Brighton Fringe this year, and it's called A History of Feminism as Told by a Sexist Pig. And I've accepted that label because I think that's partly how I'll be perceived in some quarters, and also because I think women are rightly suspicious of men who claim to be feminists. And although I'm a supporter of the women's movement and always have been, I think that men are sometimes tempted to proclaim themselves as feminists out of vanity, and perhaps they want to disavow sexism in order to make themselves more attractive to the opposite sex, which is doubly sexist. And I've noticed that the movement is rather unequal. I mean, it's a movement about equality, but men aren't contributing enough to it. They're not participating enough. So my idea was to go through the history of the movement and tell it all from a man's point of view. So starting with the suffragettes. Obvious place to start. Everyone loves the suffragettes. Men don't just love the suffragettes, they envy them, because of course they managed to combine violence with a higher moral purpose, which is completely intoxicating. I'll talk about the jockey, Herbert Jones, who collided with Emily Wilding Davison at the Derby in 1913. What happened to him? Came to a rather sticky end, unfortunately. I'll talk about Spitfires, which during the Second World War were built by women and also flown by women, but only from the factory to the airfield, not in combat, for rather curious reasons. I'll talk about bra burning in the 1960s, that great iconic image, which in fact wasn't invented by women, it was invented by men. The women who took part in that protest at the beauty pageant in New Jersey in 1968, they didn't actually burn any bras that day. The image was invented later. I'll talk about that charming phrase, all men are rapists, and how men respond to that. I remember seeing it when I was, I think, 14, scrawled on the side of a supermarket. I was very naive but very fascinated by sex, but completely inexperienced. And I found it deeply alarming because, of course, I didn't realise it was an opinion. I thought it was a statistic, and that made me the world's first virgin rapist. I'll talk about Greenham Common and how it was secretly inspired by the Yorkshire Ripper. And I'll talk about how the main lesson of Greenham, which is let's stay indoors in future, was implemented by women in the 1990s in order to advance the interests of feminism. I'll talk about Mrs. Thatcher, who was hated by the feminists, even though she really should have been their greatest icon. After all, she was a working mother from the Midlands with twins who took over a nuclear-armed state. Can't get more feminist than that, but they absolutely detested each other for curious reasons. And also talk about prostitutes and feminists who really don't like each other either, although they keep it very quiet. They certainly don't talk about it openly, but I can, because I don't really have any particular side in this issue. I'm just a curious onlooker, a horrified onlooker in some respects. And I'll talk about all-female shortlists as well, which are supported by men, but not for the reasons they give, of course. They say they're interested in equality and affirmative action, but actually what they're thinking is a bit more skirt in the office. Nice. So that's the basis of the show. It'll just be a sort of fun hour of snippets and jokes and gags and interesting historical curiosities. And I'm not a political figure. I'm not trying to start a male backlash or anything. This isn't feminism with knobs on. It's just an interesting, funny show, which some people will like, some people will find very irritating. We're doing 4 shows at the weekend, Saturday and Sunday at noon, early start, at the Blue Man in Queen's Road. And that's on the Saturday before the general election, Saturday and Sunday, before the general election, and the Saturday and Sunday after the general election, the first 2 weeks of the festival, at noon at the Blue Man in Queen's Road. It starts at 12 o'clock, yes. And so do come along and enjoy the show. I'll be there to continue the discussion afterwards if you want to do that, or if you like, you can just punch me. Thanks, bye.